Good to be with you this afternoon. And Michelle talked about the state of Israel. Let me just start with this. I had the opportunity to be in Israel in November. And one thing we heard loud and clear, whether it was meeting with business leaders or people in the government, leaders of the country, they all said this. They said the best way America can help Israel is for America to stay strong. And this is what the left always misses. The world's a dangerous place, it's a scary place, but it's a less dangerous, it's a better place, it's a safer place when the United States of America leads. And the truth is, you can't lead militarily, you can't lead diplomatically if you first don't lead economically, and I would argue this administration is doing everything wrong, making it very difficult for us to remain the economic superpower in the world. And that's why this election, and you all know this, that's why this election is so important. Two different visions for America, watershed election. More power in Washington or more power for families and communities and respect for individual liberty. That's what's at stake. And so I just want to do two things. Thank you for two things. First, thank you for taking the risk that's associated with getting involved and making a difference. I learned a long time ago, good things don't just happen. If you want to accomplish anything of meaning, anything of significance, anything of lasting value, it takes work, it takes effort, it takes sacrifice, and it takes, most importantly, that willingness to get off the sidelines and get in the game and make a difference. Because when you take that risk, there's the risk you might fail. There's the risk you're going to be ridiculed. We know we're going to get that from the press. I mean, think about some of the folks who've stepped forward on this religious liberty issue the last couple of weeks and the abuse they've taken from all kinds of folks from the left and from the press. You guys ever read Cal Thomas? Cal Thomas has a great line when he's talking about the way normal folks see things and the way the elite national media sees and portrays things. And he says this, he says, I get up every morning, I read my Bible and the New York Times so I can see what each side's up to. A lot of truth to that. So thank you for taking the risk. I love this, and I share this story all the time because I've yet to find a better picture for this idea that you got to be willing to get in the game. How many of you have seen the movie Chariots of Fire? Ever watch that show? Great show. We have 4 children, Polly and I. We made all our kids watch. Great lessons in there. But the storyline's 5 athletes in Great Britain as they train and prepare and get ready to compete in the 1924 Paris Olympic Games. And you really focus in on 2 in particular, Harold Abrahams and Eric Liddell. Both amazing individuals, both going to be Olympic gold medalists, both the kind of individuals you want young people to emulate. But the most compelling scene of the show takes place actually prior to the Olympic Games. Both are sprinters, both are college-age athletes, and both are undefeated. And they just had to know deep down, being athletes, being competitors, if there's a race, who's the fastest? And so they put this competition together. They invited the best sprinters from around Europe. That came time for the event. Everyone was in the stands. The stands were full. They were packed, anticipating this great competition. Who's the fastest, Liddell or Abrahams? And they had the race, hit the finish line, and it's Eric Liddell first, Harold Abrahams second. Next scene, stadium is now empty. Sitting up in the stands is Harold Abrahams and the young lady sitting beside him, the lady that he would later marry. And he's looking down at that track, and he's replaying that race in his mind over and over again. And every time it's the same outcome. It's Liddell first, Abraham second. Liddell first, he's second. And it's driving him crazy because he's never lost before. And he's sitting there going through this exercise, and the lady turns to him, the young lady turns to him and says, Harold, what's the problem? What's the big deal? Say you lost, you finished second, you've won all the other races. Why the long face? There was a pause, and he turned back to her and he said, I don't run to lose, I run to win. And if I can't win, I won't run. He was going to quit. He's going to say the pain of losing is just too much. I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to do it. There was another pause, and she turned to him and said the best line in the whole show. She turned back to him and she says, Harold, if you don't run, you can't win. And that is so true. And that mindset has always characterized the people of this great nation. A willingness to get out of the shadows, to get out of the twilight, to get in the game, to step into the arena and put it on the line. And we're at one of those moments in American history where we have to do just that. So thank you for being willing to do that, to take the risk associated with that, and to make a difference in this critical election year. The second thing I want to thank you for is thanks for being positive. I mean, I learned a long time ago, before I got crazy and got in politics, I was assistant wrestling coach at Ohio State, helping student athletes get to their goals on the wrestling mat. I love doing it. And I learned a long time ago, being positive, no one likes to hang out with people who are negative. This is the left. This is what amazes me. You ever notice how they always got a scowl on their face and they're always mad about something? We're positive and be positive. We got the truth on our side. So let's be, I always tell folks it's the David attitude. Y'all know the story? The Israelites camped against the Philistines. Every day the Philistine giant would walk out and issue the challenge, who will fight Goliath? The Israelites' response was, he's so big we can never defeat him. But David's response was, he's so big I can't miss. That's the American attitude. That's the spirit we need. Remember this, and I'll close with this. A couple weeks ago, the Heritage Foundation had the retreat for the Republican Study Committee members and conservative members of the Congress. And the retreat was in Philadelphia. And the retreat started the first night in Independence Hall. And when you're in that hall, and you think about what these individuals did when they signed that document in 1776, pledging their lives, their fortune, their sacred honor, but more importantly, declaring to the world why this nation would be different, why this experiment in liberty was going to be something special. And they declared it all, and they signed their names, and when they did so, they committed treason doing it. Amazing to be there and feel that and sense that. And think about these guys. If these guys weren't willing to take the risk, if they weren't positive, if they weren't willing to go against the conventional wisdom, there would be no United States of America. We've always got to be willing to do that. Forget the conventional. Last summer, we were in this fight on the debt ceiling. If we'd have listened to the conventional wisdom, we'd have never had cut, cap, and balance past the House of Representatives. We'd have never made the headway that we did. So it's important we keep that in mind, and I'll finish with this right here. My favorite scripture, 2 Timothy 4:7, says, I've fought the good fight, I've finished the course, I've kept the faith. I love that scripture because of the action associated with it. It's a scripture that characterizes all of you. It's a scripture, more importantly, that captures this attitude, this history of our country where we've always been willing to fight, to keep, and to finish the race and to finish the course. That is our charge in this critical year. Every so often, there's a generation that's called on this country to step forward and save the nation. And I think we're at one of those moments. So thank you for being willing to do that. God bless you, and God bless America.